Welcome, it's time for Barosland Pips with Annie and Boto again. Please enjoy every moment. Today's peep into Barosland, we are looking at how to make pumpkin bread. The step-by-step that takes about 9 steps of making this pumpkin bread. So sit back, relax and watch as we go about making pumpkin bread. So, first step is that of peeling the pumpkin. You peel your pumpkin and then you dice it. The dicing and the peeling have been done off camera for this video. Now, we are washing the diced pumpkin, and after that, you add a little water and bring to boil. You put it on the stove or on the fire, and then you cook it until it is tender. Now, after it is cooked, you leave it to cool. Don't mash it while it is still, or you can mash it while it's still warm or while it's still hot, but the baking process starts when it is cold rather, okay, when it has cooled down. So now the next step is that of mashing, which we are doing now. We are mashing our pumpkin, and you can see it has been mashed. So the next step after it is mashed is to measure 2 cups, okay, 2 cups, level cups of pumpkin. This is what we are doing now. So the 2 cups of pumpkin attracts 3.5 or 4 to 4 cups of flour. Then the next step is to break eggs, or to mix the eggs. To make the egg mixture, you need, for 2 cups, or let me just say for each cup of pumpkin you need an egg. So here, since we have 2 cups of pumpkin, we are going to use 2 eggs. So you beat the egg, then you add sugar. The amount of sugar that you add is totally dependent upon you. It depends. If you have a sweet tooth, you might want to add more sugar, but if not, then you add just a bit. And you should also take into consideration that sugar or pumpkin has its own sweetness. So too much sugar will even spoil the bread. It might become too sweet. Okay, so here we are still checking how much flour we have, but like I said, 2 cups of pumpkin, you need 3.5 to 4 cups of flour. Then to the egg mixture, you need to add a teaspoon of vanilla essence or 2 drops of vanilla essence. We also need to add a teaspoon of ground peanuts or pounded groundnuts or groundnut powder. Peanut powder or groundnut powder, just 1 teaspoon, you add to the egg mixture. So remember, in the egg mixture there is sugar added, there is also vanilla essence added, there is also powdered peanut or groundnuts, a teaspoon. A teaspoon of each is of pounded peanuts or vanilla essence. Sugar is totally dependent upon you. So after you have beaten the egg until it is light, then you start adding flour to your pumpkin, to your mashed pumpkin. So for each cup of flour, you add a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of spice, mixed spice. So if you don't have mixed spice, you can use individual spices. So the spices that you can use are a teaspoon of nutmeg, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of clove, okay, among others. Those baking spices can be adding a teaspoon of each. That is salt we are adding now, a half teaspoon of salt. And you don't add salt at every sieving, okay, or to every cup. We have added enough at this first sieving, okay. Now that we have sieved in a cup of flour, we now mix it, okay, with the pumpkin, the mashed pumpkin. So at this stage now, when you're adding flour, this is the time that you are adding the egg mixture. So you'll be adding a bit at a time, not all of it at once. So we are first adding is that one, okay, then you stir it in, okay, you mix it with the flour and the pumpkin, the mashed pumpkin, okay. So after you have mixed, you sieve another one. You could even sieve the flour separately and then with all the dry ingredients, okay, then you just be adding bit by bit. So we've just decided to be sieving in the direct in the pumpkin mixture, okay. So we add another cup of flour, okay. Make sure that your flour is sieved, okay. That is 1 cup of flour. Then we add a teaspoon of baking powder, and then we'll add another teaspoon of mixed spice. Remember, for every cup of flour, you add a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of mixed spice. So, because pumpkin is thick, you need to add an extra teaspoon of baking powder. But if we had baking soda, we would add an extra half teaspoon of baking soda, because baking soda is stronger than a baking powder. So we don't have baking soda, we are going to add an extra teaspoon, level teaspoon of baking powder. So the mixing continues. You can see, I hope you are following the steps of how to make this pumpkin bread. Okay, we add some more egg mixture, okay, there we are, a bit more. So we mix. After we have finished mixing, then the next step would be to add the vegetable, a cup of vegetable oil or cooking oil. So that is vegetable oil, a cup that has been added, and then we mix. We rub it in very well, thoroughly, okay. That is the rubbing in of the vegetable oil, okay. That is another step in the process of making pumpkin bread. So if you don't have vegetable oil, you can add melted margarine or butter to the mixture as the final addition. So when that is done, now you must ensure that your oven is preheated, okay. Then you get your baking tin or baking sheet, you oil it. You can use a vegetable oil or you can use butter or margarine. We are going to use what we have, which is a cooking oil or vegetable oil. Then you make sure that you spread it evenly. This is to prevent sticking. I'm sure we all know the use of oiling the baking sheet. Okay, you can use a baking sheet of any shape, any kind. Okay, this is what we have at our disposal, so this is what we are going to use. Right, you can see the mixture is thick. It's really thick. So this is our pumpkin bread mixture. That is the next step of putting in the baking sheet. Now, after you've put in the baking sheet, you must ensure that, especially that the mixture is a thick one, it doesn't spread itself. You need to do the spreading, okay? Even spreading of the mixture on the baking sheet has to be done by you yourself, okay? Now, if you have dry fruit, the raisins, you can also add to the mixture. But if you don't have, or you don't like adding a dry fruit rather, you just do it like that. So you have to spread it evenly to ensure that every corner there is some mixture, and the mixture is not just heaped in one place. You have to make sure that it is spread evenly. Okay, so this is what we are doing now. That done, the next step is to heat it on the surface to ensure that it is, then you put it in the oven. As the next step, it has been in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes, and we're checking. Look, see, it's baked. Okay, let's try in the middle. Okay, the knife still comes out clean, meaning it is ready now. So we take it out from the oven, and there we are. That is our pumpkin bread. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for further notifications, and leave a comment. See you next week. Bye.